Quite an interesting week, a week which we saw the laborers. It was which day? World World Labor Day, and the workers were thronging Uhuru Gardens. People expecting things to happen, they didn't happen, and the president was there promising, as usual, Mr. President promising us a lot of stuff, which do not. I don't know whether they'll work.
They won't.
Anyway, this week I'm with the only beautiful Maria on this show. Hey, leo utaona moto. I'm your host CEO Charles Otieno. Welcome to Let's Be Real. Maria, introduce yourself.
And I am Maria Nyambane Waweru. I'm so happy to be here. And sitaona moto. Wewe ndio utaona moto. Yeah. I'm the author of Marriage is a Scam and Love the Original You. And if you've not watched last week's show, it was really hot. Now this one,
Hotter.
you're not even going to miss it. It's hottest.
Actually, let's start with the biggest thing on this week. We are going through what you call the Gen Z Blood Parliament, which aired by BBC African Eye. African Eye came to standard KTN and took about some of our clips and in local media, and they aired a very engrossing happenings that happened during the Gen Z June revolution. What is your take about it?
First of all, thank you so much, Standard, and all the local media that gave the footage. It was sad to watch that. It was, the sad part is, it's like you're seeing someone die in action. That was really sad. But at the same time, if the media would keep doing that, like show things as they are, with evidence and the footages and the timings, especially the narrator actually is one of my favorite person in that airing.
The script writer.
That person did a good job. And it was the way, even the introduction was so cinematic. You would not think that they were going to talk about the saddest, one of the saddest moments of this country. My issue was they wanted to screen it, but they were stopped from screening it. I don't see why, because it's now on a platform that we can all watch, the world can watch. So the screening was just supposed to happen locally. But now the world can watch. Whether you don't screen or you screen, the world can watch. And I feel like media freedom, if they are given such a freedom, will actually air things that will make the country or the people or even the world see what is going on. Because we are not going to throw away the fact that the Gen Zs that died, they died fallen heroes, and they did such a splendid job in fighting for the finance bill. What we did not expect is to see that they actually died from the people in uniform. That is like showing that they died from the people in uniform, and they were in uniform. What I don't understand is why they were covering their faces though, because we would have loved to see the faces themselves and even the badge number and the exact person and the action taken, because this was outright murder. Whether we say it loud or we don't say it, whether it's aired in the streets or it's not aired, it is something very painful, and I'm sure the country and everyone who has watched it is seeing the sad moments of the happenings. I think media freedom should be embraced more.
It is true that media has played a very vital role in showing where the society is. My biggest problem is that the government of the day has not realized that they are dealing with a big problem. And the problem is that the youth are jobless. Yeah. The youth do not have something to do. They have gone to school, and the government has not planned. We need a national discussion and agree. First of all, how can a government try and lie to its citizens that they are sending their people to work abroad, yet you con people 10,000 for the jobs which are non-existent? These are the things which add a lot of fuel into the frustrations of the youth. And the youth are so frustrated because they have spent most of their time looking for these jobs. They have spent most of their time going to school. Yet, there's no one who is giving them a clear pathway of gainful employment. And the government job is, first of all, to offer an environment where people can get something to do, or offer business solutions or give them money which they can borrow to stand on their own. The exact what's happening, if you have read Chinua Achebe's The Problem with Nigeria, is what the African states are undergoing. The ballooning youth force, but no proper plan for the youth force. So we have a young generation with a lot of skills, but nothing to do. But beyond that, I think that the people in power and the government of today has not realized that they need to sort a few issues. Because if you look at the money which we raise in this country, it is enough for us to have a very comfortable life, for everyone to get something to do, and also to get employed. But the problem is we have a bandit economy. The way the former Justice Mutunga said, that the people in power are very busy with enriching themselves. Every day, this week, people are grabbing land, even the lands with title.
Yeah.
Someone is grabbing that land. You grab in Nakuru, you grab in Isiolo, you grab in Kilgoris, you grab here in Nairobi. So why are you grabbing all this land? Why can't you just offer solution to the citizens? I think it is high time that the government realize that what happened last year will still happen again, because the youth are getting more frustrated and they are ready to liberate their own country. And this country, you cannot wait for the youth to wait for the next year. The youth will liberate their country and have it a better place to live in.
On the issue of land, the way it's being grabbed all over, don't we have rules regarding the land? Like, this land belongs to you, you have the title deed, it's yours. Or is it that we have gotten to a point whereby even if you have a title deed, it's not important in this country, because if your land is wanted, it's gone?
The people who are grabbing land, and we've said, is that the individuals are the who are killing the Gen Zs, because they do not have, they have the insatiable appetite for what is not theirs. All the land they're grabbing have title. The owners, we've seen them on television, but someone is resurveying and still fencing. And I find it is a very sad situation that we elected a lot of people who are very greedy at the top. The parliament is as greedy as anything else. The executive are the most greedy, and the broad-based bread is as greedy as it comes.
My fear is after they've grabbed the land and then maybe they get out of power,
Yeah.
they will still keep the land.
You see, if you read Oliratimi's, when our husbands have gone mad again, he says that when the madness of an entire nation disturbs a solitary mind, it doesn't mean that someone is mad. That man who is grabbing land is a problem.
And if he gets out of power, can we get our land back? Because I'm saying that because right now we are powerless. A lot of people are fighting for their land all over. We are seeing it in the media. It's my land. I've been here for 20 years. Here are my papers. Like, you've stayed there for, meaning if someone was to come for that land, they had all the 20 years to come for it. Right now, I've lived with the title. Some even claim it's inheritance.
Yes.
So, and you've inherited it, you have the title and everything. Someone is taking it away. Like, we are living in a point whereby we are saying that if they get out of power, can we also fight for what is ours? Because if we are going to, if someone, then it means that whoever is taking the land, they are in power to just accumulate the land.
So what will happen is that if we look at last year's parliament, blood parliament, you can see that the youth are so frustrated. Yeah. And Kenyans in general are fed up. Most of the Kenyans today are fed up with the government which is not delivering to them. You cannot be giving people promises every day. People don't eat promises in this country. People eat services. Yeah. People are elected to deliver services to the public. And if you've not, this week, 2 days ago, you've seen that an MP was killed, Ongondo Were, and people celebrated in his village. Why would people celebrate the death of an MP? Because the MP was advocating for lawlessness. And if the leaders we've elected are the people who have goons who are killing people, who are beating people, who are grabbing people's land, where will people go? People will take the law into their own hands.
Am I in support of that? No. But do I feel like it's high time? Yes, because you cannot lack food on the table, lack a job to do because now you cannot feed yourself, and then the little land you have,
it's taken
some
away.
of them is inheritance, it's taken away. Where are we supposed to live? And it's out of greed because the people who are coming for the land, it's not like they lack the land. They're taking it from people who actually need it most.
You see, it's very sad that the Gen Zs and our heart goes to the families who lost their young men and women and others who are injured. Some of them are still in hospital, by the way, and others will never recover and be the same again. But they were fighting to liberate this country from this madness. They were fighting. All that blood which was spilled was not in vain. It was to make this place a better place, especially for the younger generation. And the younger generation have done it well because you cannot wait your country go to the dogs. We should learn from Burkina Faso. Ibrahim Traore is doing a fantastic job. The young people are very happy because he's working for the development of people, but not working to enrich himself.
But we also should think about how we are going to vote, because if we don't vote wisely, we are going to be voting for PR, promises and failure.
But the only advice I would give the youth out there is that they must actually pick the voters card as soon as possible, because they have the numbers. The Gen Zs have the numbers. They can elect the people they want. They can actually decide that we reset this country into a new path altogether and send all these characters who have been there for quite a long time home. So we see what will happen. Let's try a new chapter. Let's have a new broom. Let's sweep everyone out and see how the government of the future will run.
Wow. I hope I will live to see the day. Let me use the words of Mandela. I hope I will live to see the day.
Maria, what's our next story?
So the next story is a bit light. Yes, women over 40 are actually preferring to have babies after 40. Over 40 actually. Because we actually have reduced the number of teenage pregnancies. Me as a mom, that's good news. Me as a girl, it's also good news. We've reduced the number of teenage pregnancies now. We are talking of women above 40 are the ones who are opting to have children. I don't know if it's financial stability. I don't know if it's because that is the right age to have kids. I don't know if it's because marriages are not working anymore. I'm here to say marriage is a scam, but...
Marriages are working. First of all, I would ask myself, why are you going to give birth at 40? Because if you look at the body structure of a woman is stronger between 20 and 30. After 35, you start going downhill. I know there's a lot of technology. You can get pregnant. People are giving birth until 40, 50. But that is people who might have a problem in giving birth. But if you are a normal human being, a lady, plan yourself, give birth after campus, get a job, raise your kids when you're young, bond with your kids, and grow. People say that the younger you are, the more the kids are intelligent. Sasa, you don't want to walk to a school with a kid, they're asking you as the grandmother.
Let me start by saying this. First of all, when you give birth in your 20s, you are stressed about the baby daddy. I'm calling that person baby daddy and not the husband, because most of the time they are stressed. You're going to be stressed. Are you going to provide? Both of you, remember, are not going to give this child a good life. Sometimes intelligence comes with money. If you give your child a good exposure, they are going to be somewhere in life better than they are in your 20s. Second of all, a 20-year-old is not well equipped mentally to be a mom. So what are they doing? They are wishing to be loved. They are wishing to love the child. They are just, it's here and there. Another thing is, when a woman eats healthy, takes care of herself, even at 40, they give birth to very healthy, very normal babies.
Those are grandmothers.
No, they're not grandmothers. And in this case, let me tell you something, Siyo. In this case, if you look at a woman who is giving birth above 40, they are less stressed. These children are growing up so much loved, so much cared for. That is where we don't get mental health issue a lot, because our mothers are there, present and loving. Kids who are, if you give birth in your 20s, I am the one who I gave birth in my 20s. Do you know I paused my career? Like literally, I'm doing nothing just to raise these babies. It's like my life was wake up in the morning, cook porridge, breastfeed, wake up in the morning. It is really hard. And other people argue that in your 40s, you'll probably go to CS. Oh, that's nothing. Nowadays, people in their 20s are saying, I don't want to feel pain. I'm going to lay on that bed, cesarean.
So the question is, in the history of African civilization and the world over, our girls were married at 18.
Yeah, but then you were having 10 wives.
At 16. In Europe, 16 is a maturity age. You can have sex if you want.
For fun?
No, you can get married.
For fun?
No.
Not for babies.
You see, the biggest problem we have in Kenya today is that our women are, these over 40 are feeling woke. And it is what I call woke nonsense. Because they forget that people have to grow with their kids. What you're saying is that when you're growing up, your kid is also growing. When you're 35, we are 25, and you give birth at 25, when your kid goes to school in class 1, you'll be 30. Fantastic age. It gives you time to educate that kid, finish educating your kid at the right time, and help them choose their career paths. Now, you are here starting at 40. By 60, you are as old, no, you want to give birth at 40. But at 60, when you're 45 is when your kid, your firstborn is what? 5 years. He's starting primary.
Yes.
Hata hajafika CBC.
CBC inaanza 6 years.
Hajafika CBC.
Mbona tunaenda CBC na tuko na pesa?
Haya, whatever you want.
What are you doing in CBC and you have
So
money?
when you come, grade 9, we are being told, Mami, to pick a ugali. You're like, what nonsense is this? You should start and grow with your kids. A normal human being tries to give birth early, develops, and grows with their kids.
Studies shows that when you give birth in your 40s, you actually live longer.
Longer to who?
You live longer. Actually, now you've already captured the fact that you're not even going to, when you immediately give birth in your 40s, you've increased your years of living. So by the time you are 70, your kid is actually inheriting the wealth, not the thought of wealth,
and who
the
told
wealth
you
themselves.
Now,
there's no way a 40-year-old is having a baby without money. But a 20-something-year-old is having 5 babies. Because you see, baby craving keeps coming. Like, you're 20, oh, this one was nice. That is the fulfillment you have. Second baby. This is another fulfillment, a third baby. Not thinking about anywhere growing themselves. But someone who was like, oh, now I'm 40, now I can have children and relax. Let me tell you, you're going to that playgroup meeting feeling so high and mighty because, you know, I have the money.
And that's what I'm saying.
And I'm not missing meetings because I need to ask permission from my boss. I'm well equipped.
Money does not define everything.
For parenting, it's everything.
Money does not define everything. There are a lot of other things which define. Happiness does, number 1. 2 is a peace of mind.
You are so peaceful in your 40s.
Number 3, if you're giving birth and you can bond with your kid as a younger age, and I tell people all the time that the younger you are and you've given birth, and when you're walking at 40 and your kid is around 15, you feel very good, because you can now see, you can help her even raise her kids, and you can have a better life together. You have known this person for long. The biggest challenge people have is when kids reach teenage. That is when you're saying, with all that money, anaanza kuvuta dawa and all that, and you are wondering, now I've given him everything. You'd rather let a kid, you suffer with your kid as you grow up together. You get that money at 40 with their kid, so the kid has tasted the struggle and the good time.
But you know, a 40-year-old is not wishing for partnership to raise the kid, but a 20-year-old is constantly thinking that I need someone to raise the child with. A 20-year-old cannot do it alone.
But who told you that? What is a family? A family is a man, a woman and kids.
That same man who will still cheat and have other kids outside.
But
at 40, this is my child. Whether you are here or not, I don't care. But at 20s, these men now, when they get into 40, you see, now you always look at the perspective of a woman. When this man gets to 40, he realizes, I had my children early. Now it's time for me to fall in love.
But men don't cheat.
That's men. What do? They're always around.
Men don't cheat. Have you seen men cheat?
They have newborns at 40.
Yeah.
Men have newborns at 40.
Yeah, but they don't cheat.
But a woman cannot have a newborn at 40.
A man just gets another woman.
That's the point.
He's not cheating.
So I also decide, I just want a baby at 40. I don't need a baby right now. Why? Because if you want you see, this point of you, men have the liberty to just do, and it's called just get another woman.
No, we'll get another woman.
And that's the point.
Because for polygamy.
Because I'm not going to suffer with you in my 20s, stressed. What time will you come home? Oh, why are you not giving me money? Oh, why is that woman talking to you in my 20s and I'm raising a baby? No. In my 20s, I don't have that stress. I'm looking for money. So what do? You can stay or go. I don't care because I'm not planning to have that family.
Don't worry about us men, what we know.
But in your 40s, now you are there, you want a newborn, but I should not want a newborn. No, by the virtue that I've taken good care of myself. But that is what I always say. Women, make sure you look young at whichever age.
Men,
always.
Let us marry whenever we want, and it's not cheating. Cheating is a poor man's game. A man who cheats is a poor man.
Marry again, right?
Just marry.
But that's the point. You marry to get another newborn.
But I can get married now, not to get a newborn. I'm just getting married to enjoy my life.
You see, but I cannot enjoy my life. I'm supposed to be taking care of the children. Let me enjoy my life when I can. You see, when I'm fighting with menopause symptoms, I'm also fighting with teenage children. You see, that's where we are supposed to be at. Menopause symptoms and teenage children.
Why would a man
both stressed together?
Why would a man be hanging out with a menopause woman? Anyway, let's move to the next story.
You know, menopause women are the best, by the way.
For what?
They are risk takers. They're up. They know how to have fun. I think currently menopause is the new teenager.
No, that's too old.
It's not. It's not old. It's actually, according to what I'm hearing out here nowadays, menopause is the new teenager.
No, get it from us. We are the men. We are not going to hang out. We are not going to hang out with women.
Because those menopause women are your wives. That's why you're not hanging out with them. You need girlfriends, small children.
Not small children. Young, little, nice, lovely.
No, please, let's just take a short break. We'll be right back on Let's Be Real. Welcome back to the show. I hope you're having a good time like we are having a good time. The first part of the show was a little heated and also a little sad, but let's go to the next story. CEO, tell us.
Now, I know it's back to school, back to spending school fees, back to big money.
Yeah.
Now, you know very well, if you've taken your kids to school or you're planning to take kids to school, the biggest thing is that the school fees is always put separately. Then when you reach that school, you're told, oh, there's no money for, you have to put money for reams of paper, money for uniform, money for development, money for, and when you go, you realize that you are spending so much more money, which should have just been put in school fees, but they don't put it. It comes later. What is your take?
First of all, I think also as parents, we have this mentality. I'm going to use a real example. There's a school that I went to, and then they were saying that the school fees is 50,000 per term. And with that 50,000, you've catered for, we will not ask you for things. We will not ask you for textbooks, exercise books, pens, any other thing, as long as you've paid the school fees. And in that term, they have one school trip per term. They go for swimming, they go for skating. They give you all the activities of the school, but the school fees is 50,000. Then the neighboring school was saying the school fees is 15,000 per term. For a parent, they would think, why would I pay 50,000? And there's a school next year that is paying 15,000. But then they give you the list of requirement. Textbooks for this class, storybooks for this class, exercise books for this class, We stock up a dozen of pencil, we have rim papers, we pay this for swimming per term, we pay this for lunch. When you look at it, parents would not consider the amount they've paid because for them they're like, I went to the supermarket and I shopped for books. Now the only thing that is remaining for me to pay the 15,000 is going to buy the rim of papers. Now the only thing that is remaining is for me to pay for lunch. If you do the calculations, you will realize that you've just paid even higher than the one who is giving you the easier time to do that. There is that one. And there is also this trick that the schools use. And you have to be keen on this. If the school does not allow the parents in the school to choose the PTA, and if the PTA that you've selected is not for the parents, think again. You will find that the school will have their favorite members of the PTA, who in meetings, they will sit in different segments. And then they will agree to policies of the schools that parents are not even aware of. And because they are the PTA, the school will not be held accountable for those decisions. But in real sense, they made the decisions in the background. They just needed someone to instill them. And the best people to instill them are the parents. So what did they do? They have different members who are going to be talking for you, but against you in secret. Another thing, schools should have a way of ensuring that when they are going to ask parents for money, they know what they are saying. First of all, why would a teacher be sent money by a parent? We are not dealing with teachers when it comes to parent. And if you're going to send money to a teacher, it's just a gift, like, thank you, here is an envelope. But you're not going to be telling me that I'm going to pay for my child something through a teacher. I need the office because they have the records. Nowadays, we have schools that have registered into cloud system whereby you see your payments and everything you've been doing, and you are sure of what is happening. So anything added, it's not supposed to be added through the teachers, through phone calls, through notes by the schools, or through the diaries of the children. If schools would be solid on what they want and tell me one price once and for all, and I get it, times have changed, everything has gone high, and the government is the one that says we should be paying for school activities like skating and sports. We were not paying for them initially. So smart schools included that in the school fees, but it was not absurd. Other schools came up with, you'll pay for football 2,000, skating 2,000, swimming 2,000, so that was absurd. They did not factor it as, it's just a sport, pay the 2,000 and we are done. So as much as we are blaming the schools, we should also look at the inflation, because I one day want to own a school, by the way. And I would want to own a school. Not for the money though, but for the fact that I just...
Maria, you just want to fleece other parents.
I just want to own a school. It would be nice.
You
see, the child you'll have when you are 40-something will come to my school.
I will just... men give birth until they are 80. That's
the point. I have a school for those children.
But the question is, I think I've been a PTA in school for a very long time, and my issue has always been that there are schools which do it correctly.
Yes.
They sit and analyze and realize that we need to give our kids this amount. For example, the school I was as a PTA, we would sit down and discuss the whole budget of the school as executives and realize how much, and we also determine on how the school fees will increase. Mm-hmm. It's a private school, of course. Yeah. But when you sat down with the school administration, we would sit together as PTA, look at the number, we ask ourselves, can the parents afford this amount of money? Yes, they can afford this amount of money. What are we offering our kids? This is what we are offering them. What food are they going to eat? Where are we getting that food? They're eating sausages, they're eating bacon, they're eating bread. They're eating chicken how many days a week? So all those things you decide and you calculate it.
Just a question.
Yes.
Did you also decide for they should eat ndomangu, ashe and managu?
Managu for
healthy
school.
Eating, yes.
No. In school, you don't allow them to eat managu. They eat cabbages and skuma.
Wow. That is... But I have a problem with you. You said you are a PTA member.
I've finished my term.
Yes, you finished your term.
Yes.
But I have a problem with you PTA members.
Yes.
You always go and make policies that will benefit your own children. Like, if you are thinking of the policies of the schools, yes, you will not be thinking of Maria's son.
We think of all
children. It will be What do your sons do? That is the case study for all PTA members.
What do our sons do?
Yes.
What do you mean?
The case study is your own children. It's not the children of you see now, like for example, you want to introduce something to the school. Yes, it might be beneficial to so many kids in the school, but the case study is your children.
You see,
so you will find that the choices that you make will benefit you as a parent, and your kids will benefit from it. Because some of the time I would be here and I'm like, for all of you who are seated there as PTA members, you did not consider what I would have wanted.
You see what we do, and this is what you do. Nowadays, the PTA is totally different. First of all, it starts with class representation. So the parents in that class decide who wants to lead them.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Then they sit, they ask in that class, who do they want to, what do their kids want to do in that school? That is a person they pick from that class and say, class for 1P or 2P or what, this is what we feel. Then the other classes, then you sit and say that it doesn't come from people on the top, it comes from down. That's how it is.
But you see, if you go, for example, in a class, let me use, the class maybe has 20 children.
Yes.
I am the PTA member. I am the PTA member.
Yes.
Let me use myself. I am a PTA member, and the class has 20 children, and one of those children is my son. So let's say my son would like to, next term, my son has been interested in, let's say, gymnastic. And I would like the school to introduce gymnastics.
Yes.
No one in that class has ever been interested or care about it. But me, I would be like, we should introduce gymnastics. So as a PTA member, it's just like politics. I have to convince these other parents and tell them, you know what, we can introduce gymnastics in the school.
It
right?
depends with the cost, because anything you introduce is cost.
It's just a trainer like the swimming coach they have.
But that's why we're saying, they have, if you go, for example, to a school like Makini, where my kids were before.
Your kids went to Makini?
Yeah, you decide what you want. Do they want, my other son was playing, wanted to play saxophone as his pastime. He played sax. So you pay for that.
But
There
you
are
see, it
people
was
swimming.
already in the school.
No, you decide. There are people pick.
Oh, so you can pick what you
can
want and
pick
then
what
they'll
you
get
want.
you a trainer.
Yes, you get a trainer.
Oh, I live far from Makini.
So anyone who wants, there are schools which do things according to how you want. But there are other schools, I understand the other schools where, public schools, for example, what you're saying, in public schools, this is very rampant. It's rampant where the PTA colludes with the teachers and fleeces children. But in the private schools which we represented, everyone is who. So you cannot tell him that...
And that is a big problem.
You can't tell him that your son, you are going to... The only things we discuss is, do you want to bring piloting in school?
But that's the point. The schools that have the who is who actually have the most controversial PTAs, because right now you know very well that all of you can afford. So as long as my child wants, all of you will not interject or have a problem with it. You see, that's the problem.
But you see now...
Do you have anyone who was like, let's say, for example, yes, you're in the school of who's who, but you're not as privileged?
You see, first of all, when you're paying school fees for 200,000, if you can't get it, you will not get to that school. Let's start from there, Patam.
Yeah, that's true.
You understand? So if you cannot afford school fees for 200,000, school fees, you're in the wrong school. Because the other schools for 50,000. So why are you taking a kid to a school for 200,000 with their parents who are paying 300,000? You will take back your school to 50,000.
But you see now the PTA is deciding based on the fact that, yes, I know all of you can afford. So if my child comes home today and tells me, you know what, Dad, I would like our school to have this and this and this. Dad is a PTA. What does Dad do? He goes, sits down, finds a way, because I know the budget is there. But is it really... You see, let me tell you something. The fact that we always complain that privileged children sometimes actually get to be spoiled too much, and they don't get to know what is hard and what is easy. Like, for example, your child cannot survive in hardships, and you know that.
But why should he go to a hardship
And that's the
school?
point. Now, even the job they get, they cannot go to hardship areas. But whoever will employ them will not tell them, okay, now you're working for me, I want you to go to Garissa.
But you see, there are people who are built for those things.
not built for those things. We
I
live,
was built for that.
no, we live in
They
a
are
world
not
whereby
built for
we are
that.
competing with the haves and have-nots for the same opportunities. We are competing for the same education. We are competing for everything. The education, the opportunities, the money, the jobs. But in real sense, the have-nots are still suffering and they don't have that privilege. So we have to work extra hard, push ourselves, fight all the time for us to get to the haves.
Maria,
But the haves are going to always be making policies, deciding, discussing from up there, and giving us the rules to fight for what they have.
You see, what happens is that every school has a level.
Yeah.
So
But when you get out there as a
if
pilot,
you go to a day school, there's expectation for you. There are careers you want. These people who go to these international schools, they will not come and hustle for you. They are going to look for a job with you in Garissa.
but you know you get a job and you're posted there.
No, they will not even go be posted there. They can't go there. It's not in their plan.
Because they are the haves.
When the people who go to St. Austin, they are not part of this.
But the careers are the same. You're not understanding, CEO, what I'm saying. They are all working to be doctors, lawyers, engineers, businessmen.
Yeah.
And you see, they are all working to do all that, right?
Yeah.
So me, in a hardship area, is still doing the piloting school, when your son is also doing the piloting school in an easier area. Is that okay? And then in the job market, we'll all be applying to KU,
Maria,
JKIA,
Maria,
Emirates.
you're forgetting
same thing.
that you cannot afford piloting if you're in a hardship area.
Let me tell you, I can get scholarship.
You
I can
cannot.
get scholarship.
Piloting is done by people with
But
money.
no, let's talk about courses with people without money. Let's talk
So,
about courses with
we are going
money.
to the next story.
No, let's first talk about courses with people
Yeah.
without money. We all wanted to start a business.
Yeah.
You want to start a business the same way I want to start a business.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes.
You have the privilege.
Yeah.
I don't have the privilege. You know very well that the haves will have the sponsors, the investors, everything. But I have to also grow. So I'm talking about the fact that the have-nots are still fighting for the policies that are formed by the haves.
It is okay, but that's
It's
I'm
not
saying,
okay.
I'm
See,
saying,
let's agree it's not okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we have not, will open a kiosk. And the other guy will open a supermarket.
But that's the point. I don't want a kiosk. I'm fighting to remove poverty from my home.
No, you'll have to
You
start
see,
from a kiosk.
That's the point. I am fighting to... If I start a kiosk, you have a supermarket.
Yeah.
It's already known. You've marketed it everywhere. If people are going to a supermarket, no one is coming to my kiosk. How am I removing poverty from my home? Unless I start with a supermarket. And I become your employee. And if I become your employee, I have to find ways for me to be the haves like you. Are you not seeing? Let's agree. The haves make policies that do not favor the have-nots, but we still have to compete for the same resources,
Maria,
both of us.
Don't worry that the haves and have-nots, they will always get a middle ground. Let's move to the next story.
Guys, just so you know, I'm not a have-not. I'm just defending the have-nots who are watching. Anyway, next story. The next story is, no, this is a good one.
Okay. Take some water.
No, I'm not taking some water. I've breathed because I know we are going to argue on this one too. This one we are going to argue too. So a doctor somewhere decided to finance the husband's flashy life.
Oh my goodness, that's nice.
You see? Even before I finish introducing the story, look.
Women should finance men if we've been financing them for generations.
This lady takes a loan to buy the husband
Fantastic.
a car. Like,
fantastic.
She knew she could not afford it. She knew that times are hard. She knew she's already spoiled this man enough. And now she goes and gets a loan to buy him a car.
Please buy me even a house.
With a loan?
Yeah.
A man?
Yes.
Hey!
Men have suffered, Maria.
It's your
Men
right.
have really suffered defending, building women, supporting, educating, being dumped. If we find one woman supporting a man with just a mere car, a Mercedes, which is worth 2 million, has he killed anyone?
Women have really suffered. We've tolerated every time that we have to take you not caring for us emotionally. We've tolerated having to pause our careers to have babies that you keep calling my son, my daughter. We have actually done everything in our power to make sure the home stands, even when women are cheating all over. We've been dumped with babies. We've had to deal with all these society pressures and everything. The only thing we've asked for, the only thing is provide and protect. Just that. And right now, a woman somewhere is going to sit and say that he's going to take that role. Aki, I will not.
What I'm saying is that this South African woman is a legend. And we love legends. I love legends because men, from where I sit, have always been at the forefront of... Do you know how much men spend on women?
It's your job to provide and protect.
Every time, nitumie fare, na
Yes.
inakuliwa. Nitumie sijui, I don't have what, na inakuliwa. Men support so many families out in these cities and these towns that if we get one woman supporting one man, it's a and we support her 100%.
And I don't have a problem with that woman that has decided to be bad or to shame us women. Because we know that even we are supposed to nurture. We are not supposed to provide. You know, when a man complains that we tunakula fare, let me tell you something. Ndio tukuja kukula hiyo fare. Umetudanganya kiasi gani ndio kuja kututumia fare? Because it's not like you're telling us the truth. You're not telling, unatudanganya na utaki tukule fare. And we've noticed you are lying.
No, the best thing is that we are sure that at least now men have woken up. And the young men out there wake up from that slumber. We've always been told, provide,
yes,
protect. Now they say 50-50. If a woman walks into your door, tell her, what are you coming with?
We can never work 50-50 with gender.
No, what are you coming with? If I build a house, you come with furniture.
But do you know one thing? You have 24 hours to work, and they don't change. You only have 2 weeks of maternity leaves. Just 2 weeks as a man. Understand one thing, CEO. For you, nothing stops in your life, no matter the situation in your home. Nothing will ever stop in your life.
What do you mean nothing stops?
If right now, let's say for example, the hardest time of a woman is during childbirth, the childbirth years. The reproductive years are hardest for the woman because I have the 9 months to deal with my body. I have the 2 years to deal with the child. Remember, you only get 2 weeks of paternity leave. Of which that 2 weeks, there's no man who stays in the house for 2 weeks to help
you know,
me.
Maria,
no
what you're trying to tell us.
But a woman will always, you see, the reason why I'm saying that it cannot be to 50-50. I will stay for 3 months and I will keep staying for 2 years until they go to school. Now, for me to work to give you that 50-50, remember, we cannot do the same jobs because even in employment, let me tell you something. There are things that an employer will feel like a man will do better because in them they know, in this department, I don't need someone who is more likely to go on and off at work. You see? So 50-50 cannot work there. Let's even talk about the opportunities that we get.
Maria.
For women, I feel like self-employment actually has favored us a little bit because we can bring the cribs in our offices. But in real sense, 50-50 cannot work in any society when it comes to a man and a woman.
Maria, you're forgetting that in this world, what you're saying women do, we understand women have been at the forefront of building families.
Why not giving us money?
Number one. But these women of today do not wash clothes. These women of today have people to take care of their children. These women of today have... So that woman sits down and relaxes and goes for facials, manicure and pedicure.
Yes.
Listen, the age of where we would say these women are suffering that much is gone.
But if a nanny leaves today, let's say for example, I wake up in the morning and my nanny tells me I'm going, who will stay at home? We are talking 50-50.
It's interesting that a nanny can leave, but a nanny can be hired. There's an app to hire them, like the way you can offer for confetti.
And this is the point. They have left right now. I was ready for work in the morning. My nanny has left. Who will stay there to start looking for those apps? I kid you not. See, you're not staying there with apps.
I will stay with my kid and bring another nanny.
Oh, wow.
Haven't you seen single fathers?
I've seen single fathers. And actually,
my good friend, the late Bruce Odhiambo, and I always say this, I know we are winding up. The late Bruce Odhiambo met a very beautiful lady and said, I want you to be the mother of my kids, but we have to sign a contract. You give birth, you bring this kid to me, you'll breastfeed. After breastfeeding, that's the end of you and your baby, the baby. My friend Bruce Odhiambo did it. Signed a contract, they agreed with the lady, the lady get pregnant.
So there's a contract like that?
Yes.
And why don't we have contracts of marriages whereby I'm staying with you for 3 years, if you're not good enough,
We
I
can
leave.
do it. Nowadays
I
it's
need
possible.
that.
We
That
are-
is the one I need.
And I'm saying because we've done it before.
Because, but I cannot give birth for your child and then say to my child and then say goodbye, even if it's on contract basis, no matter how
But
much
we
you're paying
signed
me.
a contract. The contract says you are the mother, but the kid is mine, I live with it.
That's a no.
So, but you're the one who was saying here, Maria.
No, for marriage it's okay. For
You're
marriage it's
saying-
okay. For child, no. For child, that's why I'm saying I'm not willing to delegate my roles as a woman, but I'm also not willing to take up the role of a man for providing. That's my point. My point is I'm staying a woman, doing all my roles. Just because I've known that there's a washing machine or there's a dishwasher, it's okay.
And us men, we are saying...
Bring the money to buy the washing machine. Bring the money for dishwashing.
From where
not 50-50.
We are saying that is okay. We'll get a contract. And I say, Maria, I want 2 kids with you. The moment those kids reach 3 years, your role starts fading away from them.
No, I'm still their mother. You're just spoiling me with
No,
money.
no. You start fading away from them. I remain with my kids.
No, that's really wrong.
What is wrong?
The wrong part is kids need their moms more than they need their dads. They need money from their dads.
Who told you?
That's why you leave us with children and the only thing we see you for is child support. We don't see you for love. Do you ever see a woman suing a man, come love your children? No, we just need child support.
You want our money.
Kids need
That's
money.
young men. You can have a contract. As we close, you can have a contract to get married.
We never sue a man for anything.
Well, it has been real, Maria.
Yeah,
it
it's
has
me.
been real.
I did not expect that me and you will get there, but now I know even when we are together, it's really real.
It's real. Keep watching every Sunday. Let's Be Real.